A very good evening, and thanks for clicking on to the Sunday edition of Vogan's European Outlook. What a beautiful shot this is, in one sense, and in another sense, it isn't. This is a tweet by Seven Oaks Weather, and clear blue sky looks very picturesque indeed. It looks something more resembling a holiday picture. But one thing I will say is look at the ground and look at how exceptionally dry it is. It's almost desert like. It looks almost like a beach sand. It's that scorched, and so this is of course a very familiar scene across the southern portion of the British Isles, extending all the way up in the Yorkshire. May I add, the dry conditions is certainly being felt, but of course, this is the view from space, and this is a view of NASA representing that scorched southern portion of the British Isles. And the situation continues to worsen as we expect another 2 weeks of literally no rain across the southern and southeastern half of the UK. And of course, we are expecting temperatures to rise quite significantly through the course of the upcoming work week. We may knock on the door of 36, possibly even 37 Celsius. And of course, when you've got strong area of high pressure, large scale sinking of air, and a very, very dry land, that all tends to feed back on both atmosphere and dry ground to enhance the heat. We've got very little in the way of moisture, and therefore all that energy goes into heating the air as opposed to evaporation. So you can see, of course, the extremely dry conditions across the southern half of the UK. And the result of that is, of course, tinderbox dry conditions at the surface. What a difference we are seeing this summer across between Iceland and the British Isles and northern France. We have had a very significant and extreme pattern. So very deep negative here, extending from Greenland all the way across towards the Arctic region of Scandinavia here. So of course north of Norway, Sweden, and indeed Finland as well. While underneath we've had a very strong and persistent area of high pressure. So literally no rain to speak about in parts of southern England. While we've had, as you can see from this retweet that I put out, 145% of normal rainfall has been achieved in Iceland. So a very, very different story between Iceland and the southern half of the British Isles. And if you happen to look at the weather bulletin from the BBC this afternoon, Aknagart has actually received upwards of 10 inches of rain, would you believe, in the West Highlands. So that is just to the east of Skye. And while we've got Oriam in Hampshire recording 0 millimeters of rain. So we've literally not received any rainfall through the month of July and through the first 7 days of August. And of course, if you've already watched yesterday's video, you know the fact that we may not see any rain in this region of the world up until at least the 20th of August. So the dryness is going to continue and the heat is going to continue to build through the course of this week. This is the current temperatures according to the Meteoseal website here. So these are official figures. You can see here we've got 26s, 27s across quite a broad area of southern England. So we are starting to see the temperatures starting to rise across this region. Still cool across the northern half of the British Isles, as you can see here. But 850 temperature is actually nothing overly to write home about, as you can see off the GFS. We've got 850 temperatures, barely hitting 10 Celsius. In fact, we've got quite a large area from Birmingham down to London of only 8 Celsius at 5,000 feet. So you're saying to yourself, why the heck would it be seeing temperatures into the mid to high 20s when we're only seeing 850 temperatures of 8 Celsius here? But it's simply the fact that we've got a strong area of high pressure, very little in the way of moisture, and that dry ground is all allowing the temperatures to shoot up almost artificial, if you will, because of the lack of moisture within the atmosphere being released from the land. You've got a tremendous level of heating, a tremendous amount of energy coming out of the sun, and 99% of that energy is going straight into heating the air mass. So if you had normal moist conditions within the land of southern portions of the British Isles, a lot of that moisture gets then lifted up into the atmosphere. That incoming solar radiation tends to, a percentage of that energy goes into evaporation. So, you've not got the same level of warming of the air, so to speak. But when you've got such a dry ground, such a lack of moisture, all the energy is getting piled into heating the air as opposed to any kind of cooling effect, so to speak, of moisture and water vapor within the atmosphere. So the concern, of course, is that as we press through this week, we then see these 850 temperatures starting to rise, and day by day, Monday all the way through Friday, we're going to see the temperatures rising, likely peaking, I think, around Friday. Wouldn't be surprised if there's a 37 Celsius somewhere through the Midlands, possibly even close to the England-Wales border, down into the central portion of the southwest, for example. East of Bristol, areas like that, I think, could see some very extreme temperatures. So it's not necessarily confined to just the southeast corner, the typical hotspots, if you will, but actually we may see some extreme heat in areas such as Worcestershire, in the Somerset, Gloucestershire, places like that could see some very extreme temperatures through the course of this week. And as we play through the sequence here, we see these warm 850 temperatures continuing to rise and warm the column, even all the way up into the eastern side of Scotland. We could see upper 20s, for example, in places such as Braemar, Aboyne, Ballater, for example, and even on that north coast up along the Murray coast, so Lossiemouth, Elgin, and along that coastline there, the Banff and Buchan coast, we could see temperatures rising significantly here as well. 26 to 28 Celsius, I don't think is out of the question even for Scotland with this type of setup once again. And then, of course, as we push towards the latter half of the week, you're seeing the model indicate temperatures at 850 rising to 18 to 20 Celsius. And of course, when you've got such dry condition, tinderbox conditions, the temperatures will rise significantly. Is 37, 38 Celsius possibly even underdone? I'm not going to go down the road of hyping this thing up, because you get enough hype through the media, enough, putting fear of God into people with regards to climate change and whatnot. So I'm not going to go down that road. But if you're seeing, 8 Celsius at, 850 millibars and temperatures 26, 27 Celsius, you say to yourself, when, the column then warms to 18, 20 Celsius, all the way up to 5,000 feet, you're thinking, well, could we see potentially close to 40 again? Well, I'm not like I say, I'm not saying that is going to happen, but certainly it would be a concern anyway, given the level of warmth within the lower atmosphere generally. So why are we seeing this setup taking place here? We've got a very similar setup, in fact, actually the middle portion of July. Area of high pressure, stretched out, elongated between near the Azores, all the way across Southern Ireland, through the heart of England and Wales, and extending all the way across to eastern portions of Europe through the course of today. And as we play through the sequence, we've got weather riding over the top of that high, so we've got the more disturbed weather cloud. It's been pretty windy, in fact, through the course of today across the northern half of the British Isles. and then we've got weather systems riding across the top as well. So we are seeing rain. So that's why we're seeing the big difference in temperature between mid-teens across the northwest versus the upper 20s across the southeast. And then as we play through the course of the next several days, you can see what takes place. Area of low pressure near Iberia, area of high pressure then starts to move eastwards across the British Isles, and it's all eyes on that eastward movement of high pressure across the UK. There we go. It's centred now just to the north of the Netherlands. We've got an area of low pressure here that's centred over the western portion of Iberia, and of course you start to see the heat core, so to speak, moving up into the north of Spain, into the south of France, and then of course with low pressure and counterclockwise winds around that versus clockwise winds around high pressure, yet you then open that door to intense heat lifting back into the southern half of the British Isles here. And this is all indicative of the Mont-Julian Oscillation going into a favourable phase for high pressure and heat into the UK towards the end of this week. And it certainly is going to get pretty warm again, I'm afraid, folks. If you're not a fan of heat and you would like to see some rain, I don't think there's much good news, unfortunately, through the next 10 days at the very least. So this area of low pressure, as you can see here, off Iberia, high pressure over Denmark, and you've got east to southeasterly winds directing the hottest air pretty much in Europe, in fact, into the southern half of the British Isles. Northern France, just a tinderbox. Brutal conditions here. It's just every bit as bad as what we're seeing in the southern half of England as well here. So yeah, unfortunately we are not going to see any reprieve from this, I don't think, anytime particularly soon. In terms of rainfall, at least anyway, let's have a very quick look here at what the GFS is printing out in terms of temperature here, if I can get the right chart up anyway. You can see here, this is the England, Wales and Ireland view of the model here. So for the 2 meter maximum temperature, so a warm afternoon, of course, as it has been today. Then we'll see, temperatures 26, 27, 28, maxing out at 29 Celsius even during the course of tomorrow afternoon. Then on Tuesday, we can see here temperatures already starting to peak. There we go, the interior southwest. We're seeing temperatures of 30 Celsius according to the raw model data, at least anyway. So on Tuesday, we're already seeing 30s taking place. And then, of course, it's as we go into Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, we see the coverage of 30s extend all the way into the north of England here, and widespread temperatures of 30 to 33 Celsius, I think, becoming pretty common, really, actually, as we go forward here. So this is Wednesday, and then as we go into the day on Thursday here, you can see those temperatures climbing into the 30s, even all the way up towards Scotch Corner, even not that far off Newcastle, if you notice here. It looks like 33 Celsius, 34 in fact, according to the model here. And then on Friday, I think we could be seeing somewhat of a peak here. So the model is seeing 35 Celsius in a few spots, generally between Bristol and London, but I wouldn't be surprised if we actually see somewhere rise to even higher than that. Even Saturday, we've got some very, very warm temperatures indeed. Where we're peaking at, it looks as if 36 is on the charts on Saturday afternoon, that is, sorry. And then even on Sunday, we're still talking about 36 Celsius. So this is a pretty prolonged spell of very hot conditions. Also notice Ireland is seeing some very hot temperatures as well. We need to keep our eyes on that as well through the late week and into the weekend here. I'm actually going to be travelling tomorrow, so I may have a video later tomorrow. I happen to be going to Portugal on holiday for just a very short break. It's only 3 nights we're away. So the European outlook is actually going to be basically looking at my mug. I'm not going to have any charts because I'm not bringing the laptop So that's it for today. I'm running out of time. Hope you have a great